Hey y'all, I know it's a lot going on with this new administration, but I'm looking now at Project 2025 because I didn't look at it before because I didn't think he was going to be our new president. And so right away, as a small business consultant, I go into the small business lending part and I see a big excerpt around PPP loans and the EIDL loans. So one of the things that is critical for small businesses to be successful is funding. Get money when your business is growing so that you can meet all the needs of a growing, scaling business. The other thing that I want to point out is that most Americans found out during COVID and the PPP that the SBA's definition of a small business was $500 million in revenue. And so through all the exercises that we went through during COVID, we now had a new definition for very small businesses. Businesses that make 100,000 to 500,000 were called micro entities. And then we also found out about solopreneurs. So now on page 746 of Project 2025, they give the example during the pandemic, that more than $1 trillion in COVID-19 relief was distributed through the SBA. The SBA's EIDL loan, EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance Program in particular, shows that dangers can come with direct government lending. What does that mean? The SBA was doing direct lending. Now, let's be clear. The PPP and the EIDL, all these programs came up under Trump's administration from before in the CARES Act, and this was his answer to combating COVID and helping secure small businesses and making sure they didn't go out of business during the pandemic. So Project 2025 says the EIDL provided direct cash, grants, and loans to small businesses, and the SBA office identified $78.1 billion in potential is a key word here, fraudulent EIDL loans and grants paid to ineligible entities, which represented more than half of all the funds spent through the program. Although PPP worked through private lenders and as a result experienced relatively less fraud than EIDL experienced, it is estimated that at least 70,000 PPP loans were potentially fraudulent. Now, potential is a big word here because the SBA gives us data every single year. And when they find fraud, especially around the PPP, they were taking those people to jail. Those monies they were owed those monies back. The SBA has been very good about their audits, and they told everybody as they were getting the PPP loan that we don't have time to audit right now. We will audit these loans after they close, and we will follow up with audits for 2 years or whatever. And if we find that you are not eligible or you weren't totally honest during your application process, you're going to have to get the money back. Now, the issue with this, where I see that they're saying there's potential fraud, which I don't believe, I think they're using that to create a basis for why they want to defund the SBA, is that when Trump announced the CARES Act, and he announced $900 billion in the CARES Act to help with COVID relief and small businesses, he had no guidance. And when I say he had no guidance, he had no information on what the SBA was supposed to do and how they were supposed to do it. And I remember being, I own a nonprofit. My nonprofit was called in to take emergency training after the SBA took weeks and weeks and weeks to figure out how to structure this loan product, the portal the loan product would go in, the underwriting guidelines, probably how the application process would work, what the amounts, all the things, right? Trump, so I'm saying all of this to say, Trump likes to announce stuff and then put it into action immediately. And then the government agencies are scrambling because they have no instructions, no guidance, no policy, no procedures, nothing. And the SBA was crippled when this happened. They went on a huge hiring spree. They were calling lenders bankers that used to be lenders. Like, everybody was getting called in to either contract with, work for the SBA, apply with the SBA, partner with the nonprofits that were going to support the SBA, do the programming in the cities for the SBA. Like, it was just a lot going on. And so for them to now circle back and say, you know what, by the way, that program didn't work that well, and we found out that there was a lot of fraudulent lending activity. The requirements of the loan application were minute, but that application said we will be auditing these applications for years to come, and if we find that you committed fraud or the information you provided us was not to be true, you could get fined or go to jail or whatever. So those statements were in applications, but people don't believe this. But my point is, for them to now use this to say why they want to defund the SBA, why they don't want the SBA to do direct lending anymore. They want to end SBA direct lending. They want to create an accountability reform and restructure the SBA under a conservative administration. And they've got all these things. But as a lot of people that are aware of how government operates and have been saying, a lot of the stuff that Trump did when he was a president before made us suffer during Biden's and after and to now. And now we're finding in Project 2025, some of the stuff they are identifying didn't work, might have been fraud, wasn't good, or whatever. It's things that Trump implemented when he was president before. And because of his implementation style, it didn't work. Because people be having to build the plane while they fly it. We literally have to build planes while we fly it while Trump is in office. So it is just comical to me that, and that's all. Happy Wednesday.